My hand grasps the killing power in heaven and earth. To behead the evil ones, spare the just, and ease the people's sorrow. My eyes roam north and west, beyond the rivers and mountains. My voice booms east and south, to the edge of the sun and moon. 洪秀全. As concerned family members look on, Hong Shuquan drifts in and out of slumber. For 40 days and nights, Hong Shuquan's visions continue off and on. In another dream, Hong Shuquan sees God, the Father, scolding an ashamed Confucius for leading the Chinese people astray with his blasphemous ideas. A humbled Confucius, with head downcast, asks for forgiveness. The war of extermination waged against the demon devils in heaven now apparently appears to be acted out in Hong Shuquan's family home as he shouts, slash the demons, repeatedly while waving his arms, holding an imaginary sword. Fearing that their son may be possessed by evil spirits, Hong Shuquan's family hires an exorcist. But when the exorcist arrives, Hong Shuquan severely scolds him and he flees in terror. Eventually, Hong Shuquan tires of such outbursts and becomes quiet. Remembering his new title bestowed by his heavenly father, Hong Shuquan writes out in red ink, Heavenly King, Lord of the Kingly Way, Chen, on a roll of paper and places it on his door. In the coming days, Hong Shuquan's new outlook on life quickly clashes with the traditional ideals of his family members. Hong Shuquan tells his family that by order of heaven, he is the one true Son of Heaven that has been sent down to slay all evildoers and save the honorable. The venerable old man above has commanded that all men shall turn to me, and all treasures shall flow to me. Hong Shuquan. Arguments break out between Hong Shuquan and his earthly elder brothers and father. Hong Shuquan even goes so far as to claim that he is not his father's son during one of these arguments. Word soon spreads in Guanlubu village of the Hong family's potentially mentally ill son. Due to laws that hold family members accountable for the actions of their insane relatives, Hong Shuquan's brothers work in 24-hour shifts, ensuring that their younger brother is unable to leave the house. Unknowable at the time to Hong Shuquan's family, and indeed to the very man himself, he was the victim of a severe mental illness with psychotic qualities called a twilight state by modern psychiatrists. This state of mind includes intensely vivid dreams coupled with wish-fulfilling experiences. The psychological origins of Hong Shuquan's illness can be traced back to his multiple failures to pass the exams. Depression led to desperation, which in turn led to a nervous breakdown. To the relief of the Hong family, Hong Shuquan gradually regains a certain degree of sanity. Hong Rengan notices a different sense of bearing and personality in his cousin. Hong Shuquan's height seems to have increased, along with his strength coupled with a sharper intellect. Hong Shuquan's features appear to have been altered, as he now appeared more handsome with lighter complected skin and a higher nose. His gaze became piercing and difficult to endure, while his voice roared, possessing a laugh that shook the entire house. Hong Shuquan, though undoubtedly transformed by his visions, is unable to make sense of them and promptly returns to a life of normalcy. Family and friends accept Hong Shuquan's new name, and his wife, Lai, gives birth to a girl. Hong Shuquan begins reading the Confucian texts again with the aim of preparing himself once more for the examinations, while at the same time he resumes his teaching duties at a nearby village. 7 years pass by uneventfully as Hong Shuquan goes about his daily life. Despite the everyday routines, his visions still remain imprinted in his mind, still laying beyond his ability to comprehend their meaning. In the beginning of 1843, Hong Shuquan again travels to Canton to take the civil service examinations for a 4th time. He fails again. Filled with rage, Hong Shuquan boards a boat going back to his homeland, cursing the examiners. He then composes an anti-Manchu poem that hints at his intentions to lead a revolution against the ruling Qing Dynasty. Upon arriving home, Hong Shuquan tosses his books to the ground while shouting, "Let me give examinations to the scholars of the nation in lieu of the Manchus." Despite this loss of temper, Hong Shuquan's mental health remains intact, and he has no nervous breakdown after this failure. Instead, he quietly returns to his routines at Guanlubu village. Then, in the summer of 1843, Li Jingfang, a student of his and a distant relative, visits the Hong family residence. Inside the house, Li Jingfang sees a strange-looking book and asks if he can borrow it. Hong Shuquan readily allows his student to borrow the book. The book that has just been lent is none other than Liang Fa's Good Words for Exhorting the Age. Li Jingfang reads the book with the utmost of fascination. As soon as Li Jingfang visits the Hong residence again, he recommends the book to Hong Shuquan. With heightened intellectual curiosity, sharpened by years of study, Hong Shuquan reads the book. After reading the book, Hong Shuquan reaches a profound epiphany, the most pivotal realization of his entire life. Liang Fa's words immediately enlighten Hong Shuquan to the futility of studying and sitting for the civil service examinations. At best, Liang Fa characterized the endeavor as a foolish one, and at worst, he cast a sinful light upon the pursuit. From this, we can see that these Confucian scholars are bewildered and obsessed by their ambitions. So they cling to their delusions and worship idols instead of with a humble mind worshiping the ruler of heaven and earth, the God who rules the entire world and all its wealth and glory, and thus being in accordance with the sacred principles of the Great Way. Liang Fa. Hong Shuquan never studies or sits for the examinations again. Though there are many sections of Good Words for Exhorting the Age that do not make any sense to Hong Shuquan, the book enables him to fully interpret his dream down to the last detail. The saddened man with the large golden beard is God the Father, the one who created the universe and requested that he rid heaven of the demon devils. His elder brother, who fought by his side in heaven to slay the demon devils, is Jesus Christ, Son of God the Father. All the men and women who had greeted him jubilantly in heaven are the angels who reside there. The scrolls filled with knowledge that he had read in heaven were the words of Liang Fa. Yan Luo Wang is the demon devil serpent who tempted Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Like Moses communicating directly to God the Father on Mount Sinai, Hong Shuquan has been directly communicated to likewise. Hong Shuquan's new name, the Quan, part of his name, appears everywhere in Liang Fa's book. Hong Shuquan also comes to the conclusion that idol worship is sinful. The festival days that punctuate the Chinese calendar are not congruous with the routines of worship due to God the Father. Furthermore, Hong Shuquan views the world as one filled with sin and false prophets. The elderly woman who had washed his body in the ethereal rivers of heaven had performed a sort of celestial baptism. Now, one must be performed here on earth. Despite driving the demon devils out of heaven, evil still prevailed on earth, and now a war must be waged to cleanse the world of it. Most importantly of all, Hong Shu-chun comes to the realization that since Jesus is the Son of God the Father, and also his elder brother, then he is a son of God, his Chinese son. Immediately, Hong Shu-chun begins to preach. His first follower is none other than the man who had urged him to read good words for exhorting the age. Though Liang Fa does not specify directly how Jesus and others were baptized, Hong Shu-chun and Li Jingfang are able to gather scattered details regarding baptisms throughout Liang Fa's book. The two men proceed to douse water over each other's heads. They then make a promise to their one true God to follow his commandments and to shun idols. Feeling deeply inspired, Hong Shu-chun composes a poem. Sure is it that our sins surge up to heaven. How good to know that Jesus bears them all on our behalf. No longer trusting in the demon devils, we obey the holy word, worshipping the one true Lord to cultivate our hearts. They then request a local blacksmith to forge 2 double-edged swords, both of which weigh about 9 pounds and are 3 feet long. Each sword had 3 characters etched into each blade. Sword for exterminating demons. Hong Shu-chun talks with anyone he feels comfortable talking to about his experiences and new belief system. In the summer of 1843, he quickly catches the ear of 2 relatives, Hong Yuangan and Feng Yuanshan. Similarly to Hong Shu-chun, both relatives have also failed the civil service exams, but are nonetheless very educated and work as village teachers. Both relatives soon convert to Hong Shu-chun's brand of Christianity. At first, Hong Shu-chun baptizes them in private quarters before going to a stream by which his new converts can submerge themselves completely in the water. Hong Yuangan and Feng Yunshan now forever occupy Hong Shu-chun's closest circle of followers, while Li Jingfang quickly loses his potential position of importance within the brewing movement. Analyzing good words for exhorting the age with his 2 new followers, Hong Shu-chun comes to another profound conclusion on his visions. If I had received the books without having gone through the sickness, I should not have dared to believe in them, and on my own account to oppose the customs of the whole world. If I had merely been sick, but not also received the books, I should have had no further evidence as to the truth of my visions. I have received the mediated command from God in his presence. The will of heaven rests with me. Hong Shu-chun and his 2 new followers proceed to convert their family members. Having traveled from Guangxi province, 2 distant relatives of Hong Shu-chun arrive in Guanlubu and are subsequently mesmerized by Hong's words. They are quickly baptized by him and subsequently take the gospel back to Guangxi province. Making good on his promise to shun idols, Hong Shu-chun and his 2 new converts proceed to remove the tablets to Confucius enshrined in each of the schools they teach in. Slowly but surely, the parents of the students learn about the removals and take their children out of the schools, decreasing the incomes of the schools. In response to his younger brother's sacrilegious actions, Hong Yuangan's older brother beats him with a stick. A defiant Hong Yuangan shouted back to his older brother, "Am I not the teacher? How is Confucius able to teach after being dead so long? Why do you force me to worship him?" In January of 1844, aspiring Confucian examination takers reach out to Hong Shu-chun with a poem in an attempt to change his new ways. Undaunted, Hong Shu-chun refuses to change. Local disapproval in the village mounts, and by the end of the spring of 1844, Hong Shu-chun and his 2 new converts lose their teaching jobs. In response to this loss of livelihood, Hong Shu-chun, Hong Yuangan, and Feng Yunsan, vowed to journey all over the world to spread to the people the doctrine of repentance. They are all low on money, and Hong Shuquan's wife has just given birth to her second child, another girl. Hong Shuquan, Hong Yuangan, Feng Yunsan, and two of Feng's relatives plan to support themselves financially on their journey by selling ink and writing brushes. Just before leaving, Hong Yuangan changes his mind and decides to stay behind in Guanlubu. However, this decision was not Hong Yuangan's own making, as his parents and elder brother forbade him from making the trek. His family beats him and destroys his clothing, not simply just to intimidate him not to go on the journey, but also to punish him for the removal of the Confucian tablets in his school. In early April 1844, the group of men, minus Hong Yuangan, set out on their adventure, leaving Guanlubu behind. Hong Shuquan and his followers journey first towards Canton before making their way southward to the deltas. Arcing northwest, they re-enter Canton through the western gate, eventually exiting through its eastern gate. It is in this region that they preach among the hills, before resting in Qingyuan County. They are received warmly by the locals and Li Jingfeng's family. Many people are baptized and moved by Hong Shuquan and his holy words. They then trek north and then west, until they reach White Tiger Village. It is now May 1844, and their tireless trekking has gone on for 34 days. Wanting now to travel alone, Hong Shuquan disperses the group at White Tiger Village. However, Feng Yunsan insists on accompanying him. Feng Yunshan's two family members set off in the direction towards their home, while Hong Shuquan and Feng Yunshan travel onwards, seemingly aimlessly. Wanting to connect with his distant Hakka relatives, Hong Shuquan, along with Feng Yunshan, journey by foot to Guangxi Province, in the distant west, to the small community of Sigu in Guiping County. With little knowledge of the terrain, the two men travel across 250 miles of land. The terrain is treacherous and mountainous, filled with Miao and Yao tribesmen with little to no loyalty or connection to the Qing Dynasty government. Amazingly, the journey is a safe one for the two. The two even meet a Chinese teacher of Miao children. The teacher likes Hong Shuquan's religious message upon hearing it preached to him and promises to introduce the teachings to the Miao. To keep their bellies full, Hong Shuquan and Feng Yunshan live off of cups of tea and snacks from vendors located in the many villages they pass through. On May 21st, 1844, after 17 days of travel, they reach the Guangxi province town of Mengyu. Passing through, they travel west another 15 miles until they reach the Huang residence, a household headed by the Huang Shengjun in Sugu village. Two men previously baptized by Hong Shuquan in Guanlubu village welcome them warmly. While at Sugu village, Hong Shuquan begins to write his own book, entitled Exhortations to Worship the One True God, a title clearly inspired by Liang Fa's book. As the months fly by, Hong Shuquan begins to write in paired verse couplets of 7 characters to ensure that semi-literate and illiterate people would be able to understand and remember his message. While writing his book, Hong Shuquan travels from house to house among welcoming Hakka family members, preaching about morality and his visions. During this time, Hong Shuquan's strategy to win converts slowly becomes more refined. Perhaps due to his concerns regarding idolatry, during services, God's name is no longer written on a tablet and propped up around burning incense on an altar. Instead, 2 lamps burning fuel of some sort are now placed on a table with 3 cups of tea to make an offering. Hongshuquan's fervent congregation grows and grows. Men and women alike flock to the sermons and sit in 2 separate rows divided by gender. Hymns are sung joyously. All pray, heads bowed down, kneeling collectively while facing the rays of light, pouring through the doorway of the mountain house. All eyes are closed as one person speaks the prayers aloud. It has been several months since Hongshuquan's arrival in Sugu village, and he has now converted around 100 people. In the midst of all this, Hongshuquan decides to leave the Huang residence, with Feng Yunshan to go live in a hut in the mountains. After a brief period of isolation, Hongshuquan returns to the Huang residence, and Feng Yunshan journeys to the town of Guiping. In November 1844, Hongshuquan finally decides that it is time he returned to Guanlubu village, as he is concerned about his family's anxiety over his whereabouts. But first, he wants to find Feng Yunshan. So he sets out towards Guiping with Huang Shengjin accompanying him. Reaching the Zhang residence, a family that Feng Yunshan has recently befriended, Hongshuquan inquires the people there about Feng Yunshan's whereabouts. The Zhang family tells Hongshuquan that they have heard that Feng Yunshan has left for Guanlubu village. Hongshuquan believes the explanation, says goodbye to Huang Shengjin, and proceeds to travel back to Guanlubu by boat along the river routes. The journey is swift, and within 12 days, Hongshuquan is back home with his family. Upon Hongshuquan's return to Guanlubu village, he is surprised to learn that Feng Yunshan is nowhere to be seen. Nobody in the village knows where he is, and Feng's family angrily blames Hongshuquan for his disappearance and for believing the Zhang family's words regarding his whereabouts. Despite his dismissal from his teaching job earlier, local village leaders offer Hongshuquan his teaching job back. Hongshuquan accepts it and settles back into a routine little different from the one he had before leaving Guanlubu back in April 1844. In the coming weeks, Hongshuquan will go on to write 5 couplets, 5 hymns, and 2 long essays. Hongshuquan's writings fuse together the moralistic notions of right and wrong from both traditional Chinese thought with the newly introduced Christian notions of morality. Hongshuquan also outlined in his writings how an ideal society could be realized, with all people living comfortably in peace and prosperity. A world of justice and righteousness would replace the world of mutual humiliation, oppression, and violence. Furthermore, he made his ideas of friendship with other nations on earth, especially the Christian West, boldly clear. Lastly, Hongshuquan exhibits vehement anti-Manchu ruling class sentiment in his writings. God has divided the kingdoms of the world and made the oceans to be a boundary for them, just as a father divides his estates among his sons, every one of whom ought to reverence the will of his father and quietly manage his own property. Why should now these Manchus forcibly enter China and rob their brothers of their estates? Hongshuquan. Unbeknownst to everyone in Guanlubu, Feng Yunshan, in fact, had been in Guiping all along, living with Zhang Yongshu. Approximately 1 month after Hongshuquan left Guiping for Guanlubu, Feng Yunshan and Zhang Yongshu left Guiping and trekked north to the foothills of the mountain ranges that make up most of North Guangxi province. They took up residence in the village of Gulun, as the Zhang family owned land there. In the early part of 1845, they head northwest, following the valleys formed by rivers, siphoning runoff from Sissel Mountain. Eventually, they come across a sleepy village where the Zhang family also owned land. During this wandering, Feng Yuan's son either does not want to or is unable to make contact with his family or the outside world. Though he secludes himself from the wider world, Feng Yuan's son actively engages the locals by continuing to preach about Hong Shuquan's teachings and visions. Scores of new followers are won over, eventually prompting Feng Yuan's son to give the newly formed group a name, Bai Shangdi Jiao, or God-worshipping society.